It was a sunny Saturday afternoon, and Sunrise Mall was alive with the hustle and bustle of shoppers. Families were out enjoying their weekend, teenagers meandered in groups, and stores hummed with activity. The smell of cinnamon rolls wafted through the air, blending with the faint sound of laughter and distant pop music from the food court. In the midst of this lively scene was Ethan Brooks, a 47-year-old entrepreneur who had recently acquired Sunrise Mall as part of his expanding real estate portfolio. Ethan, known for his unassuming demeanor despite his wealth, decided to visit the property unannounced. Dressed casually in jeans, a plain black t-shirt, and his favorite red cap with bold white lettering, Ethan blended seamlessly with the crowd. At least, he thought so. As he walked through the mall, observing the flow of customers and checking in on various stores, Ethan couldn't help but notice a few double takes from passers-by. Some people stared a little longer than he expected, their eyes fixating on his hat. He ignored it, focusing instead on the bustling life within the mall, satisfied with what he saw. Not far away, Megan Hart, a 34-year-old local teacher, was also walking through the mall. She had come to pick up a gift for her niece's birthday party later that day. Megan's cheerful demeanor shifted the moment she spotted Ethan. Her eyes zeroed in on his hat, and her stomach churned. To her, that red hat was a symbol of divisiveness, a representation of values she opposed. Her discomfort quickly turned into indignation. It felt as my bones were being spliced with metal strings. Her discomfort quickly turned into indignation. "This can't happen here," Megan muttered under her breath. She approached the nearest security guard, Officer Nathan Carter, a middle-aged man with a calm, professional demeanor. Nathan was stationed near the food court, sipping his coffee and scanning the crowd for any signs of trouble. Megan marched up to him, her voice sharp. "Excuse me, officer," Megan said, pointing toward Ethan. "That man over there is wearing a hat that's making people uncomfortable. You need to do something about it." Nathan raised an eyebrow, following her finger. His eyes landed on Ethan, who was casually browsing at a kiosk selling handmade leather wallets. Nathan frowned slightly. "Ma'am, I don't think wearing a hat violates any mall policies," he replied, trying to keep his tone measured. "It's not just a hat," Megan's voice grew louder. "It's a political statement and it's offensive. I can't believe the mall is allowing this." Nathan sighed. He had dealt with plenty of complaints in his years as a security officer, but this was different. Megan's insistence left him with little choice but to approach Ethan and attempt to de-escalate the situation. He took a deep breath and walked toward the man in the red hat. "Excuse me, sir," Nathan said, his voice polite but firm. "I'm going to have to ask you to either remove your hat or leave the premises. We've received a complaint from another shopper." Ethan turned to face him, his expression calm but curious. "A complaint about what?" he asked. "It's just a hat." Nathan hesitated. "Some shoppers find it offensive, sir. I'm just following up on the complaint." Ethan smiled faintly, shaking his head. "And does the mall have a policy against this kind of hat?" Nathan scratched the back of his neck. "Not specifically, but..." "I'm not leaving," Ethan interrupted gently but firmly. "I haven't done anything wrong." The exchange began to draw attention, and soon a small crowd had gathered. Among them was Megan, who stood with her arms crossed, a look of triumph on her face. Another officer, Emily Martinez, arrived to support Nathan. Emily was known for her no-nonsense attitude, and she immediately took charge of the situation. "What's going on here?" Emily asked, her sharp gaze scanning the scene. Nathan explained the complaint, and Emily turned to Ethan. "Sir, we're asking you to cooperate for the sake of maintaining a peaceful environment." Ethan's calm demeanor didn't falter. "I'm not causing any disturbance. I'm simply shopping. If you think otherwise, I'd like to speak with someone in charge." Emily frowned but nodded, reaching for her radio to call the mall manager, Linda Graves, a no-nonsense leader who prided herself on keeping the mall running smoothly. When Linda arrived, her irritation was evident. "What's the issue?" she asked, her tone brisk. Megan was quick to interject. "This man is wearing a hat that's offensive and making people uncomfortable. He refuses to remove it." Linda turned to Ethan, who met her gaze without flinching. "Sir, we've had complaints about your hat," she said. To avoid further conflict, I'm going to ask you to remove it, or leave. Ethan's expression hardened slightly. I understand your position, Ms. Graves, but I've done nothing wrong. If wearing this hat violates mall policy, show me the rule and I'll comply. Haha. Linda was taken aback by his composure. We don't need a specific rule. As the manager, I'm responsible for maintaining a welcoming environment, and your presence is disrupting that. Ethan nodded thoughtfully. A welcoming environment for whom? He asked. Because I don't feel very welcome right now. The crowd murmured, and Linda's frustration grew. She ordered the security officers to escort Ethan out, a decision she would soon regret. As Ethan walked toward the exit, flanked by Nathan and Emily, he paused and turned back to Linda. You're making a mistake, he said calmly. I hope you're prepared for the consequences. Ethan left the mall with a calm demeanor, but his mind was already working. He knew the experience was just the tip of a deeper issue within the mall's management and customer service practices. Sitting in his car, he jotted down notes on his phone, outlining observations about the staff's behavior, the policies or lack thereof, that led to the situation, and the culture of an intolerance that had festered within the mall, and the culture of a lack of frustrations that had festered within the mall. When he came to put it together, it was like, defined, complication, pathetic, and Later that evening, Ethan met with his personal assistant, Rachel Lynn, a sharp and efficient professional who had been with him for years. Over a cup of coffee in his home office, Ethan laid out the day's events. Rachel, I need a full report on the mall's HR policies, training programs, and customer service standards by tomorrow morning, Ethan said, his tone steady but determined. Something is broken, and we're going to fix it. Rachel nodded, already making notes. Understood, sir. I'll get in touch with the HR team and gather everything we need. As Rachel worked on compiling the report, Ethan turned his attention to the bigger picture. This wasn't just about a single incident. It was about creating a space where people of all backgrounds could coexist peacefully, a value he believed should be at the heart of any public establishment. The following day, Ethan arrived at his corporate office where he convened a meeting with David Sterling, the regional manager, and several senior staff members. Rachel presented the findings of her research, which painted a troubling picture. Mall's training programs were outdated, focusing more on operational procedures than on interpersonal skills or conflict resolution. There was no emphasis on fostering inclusivity or addressing unconscious bias. Additionally, the mall's complaint handling process was vague, leaving too much room for personal judgment. Ladies and gentlemen, Ethan began pacing the room. What happened yesterday was unacceptable, not just because I was the target, but because it reflects poorly on our values as a company. This is a wake-up call. David looked visibly uncomfortable. Sir, I agree we need to address this, but implementing changes like these across all properties will take time and resources. Ethan stopped pacing and turned to face him. David, this isn't optional. This is an investment in our people and our reputation. If we don't act now, the cost will be far greater in the long run. Rachel chimed in. We've already outlined a series of initiatives, including mandatory diversity and sensitivity training for all staff, revised HR policies, and a clear code of conduct that emphasizes respect and inclusivity. We'll roll these out incrementally, starting with Sunrise Mall. Ethan nodded. Good. I also want to host a town hall meeting with the staff and local community. I want them to know we're serious about making this mall a better place for everyone. Meanwhile, back at Sunrise Mall, the incident continued to spark conversation among the employees. Nathan and Emily, the security officers who had escorted Ethan out, were especially shaken. Nathan confided in Emily during their lunch break. I can't stop thinking about it, he admitted. The guy was so calm, like he knew something we didn't, and now we know why. He owns the place. Emily sighed. I know what you mean. I've been replaying the whole thing in my head. We could have handled it differently, but we were just following orders. Their conversation was interrupted by Megan Hart, who approached their table hesitantly. I just wanted to say I'm sorry, Megan began, fidgeting with the strap of her bag. I didn't mean for things to get so out of hand. I just I thought I was standing up for what was right. Nathan and Emily exchanged glances. It's not just on you, Nathan said. We all played a part in what happened, but now we've got to focus on fixing it. Over the next few weeks, Sunrise Mall underwent a transformation. The new training programs emphasized empathy, active listening, and conflict de-escalation. Staff meetings included role-playing exercises to help employees navigate challenging situations with professionalism and respect. Ethan also worked with local community leaders to host an open forum at the mall, inviting patrons to share their experiences and suggestions for improvement. The event was well attended, and Ethan took the time to listen to each speaker, making notes and asking thoughtful questions. One speaker, a middle-aged man named Carlos Ramirez, shared a particularly poignant story. A few months ago, I brought my son here to buy him new school supplies. He has autism, and sometimes he struggles in crowded places. One of the staff members was so rude to us when he had a meltdown, it made me feel like we weren't welcome. Ethan's heart sank. Carlos, thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry for what you went through. We're implementing new training programs to ensure our staff is better equipped to handle situations like this with understanding and compassion. Carlos nodded, his expression softening. Thank you, it means a lot to hear that. The forum concluded with Ethan addressing the crowd. This mall is a place for everyone, he said. We're not perfect, but we're committed to doing better. Your feedback is invaluable, and we'll use it to guide our changes. A month later, Ethan made another unannounced visit to the mall. This time, he wore a simple gray polo shirt and no hat, blending in even more seamlessly with the crowd. He observed staff interacting with customers and noticed a marked improvement. Employees greeted shoppers warmly, security officers were more approachable, and the atmosphere was genuinely welcoming. As he strolled through the mall, Ethan spotted Nathan and Emily near the food court. He approached them with a smile. "Good afternoon," he said. "How's everything going?" Nathan straightened up, a hint of nervousness in his expression. "Good, sir. Things have been better. Thank you for giving us a chance to improve." Ethan nodded. "I'm proud of the progress you've made. Keep it up." As Ethan walked away, he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. The journey wasn't over, but Sunrise Mall was on the right path. It had become a place where differences were celebrated, not sunned, a reflection of the values Ethan held dear. Ethan's efforts to overhaul Sunrise Mall's culture were gaining traction, but he knew that real change required not only policy adjustments and training, but also a genuine shift in attitude among the staff, shoppers, and community. He decided to take a more personal approach, connecting with key individuals who could influence the mall's transformation. One afternoon, Ethan met with Rachel Torres, the new interim manager, in her modest office at the mall. Rachel was eager to discuss her ideas for creating a more inclusive environment. "I've been thinking about ways to engage the community more actively," Rachel began, her hands gesturing animatedly. "What if we hosted events that brought people together, like cultural festivals, local artist showcases, or even workshops for kids and families?" Ethan leaned back in his chair, nodding. "I like that. It's a proactive way to build connections and make everyone feel welcome. Let's focus on events that celebrate diversity and encourage interaction." Rachel's face lit up. "I'll get started on planning right away. We can even partner with local businesses and nonprofits. It'll show the community that we're invested in them." As Rachel delved into her plans, Ethan felt a renewed sense of hope. It was clear that Rachel's energy and vision would be instrumental in shaping the mall's future. A few weeks later, the first community event, a cultural heritage festival, took place in the mall's central atrium. The space was transformed with colorful decorations representing various cultures, and booths were set up to showcase food, crafts, and performances. Families wandered through the displays sampling cuisine from around the world, while children participated in interactive workshops. Ethan arrived early to observe the setup and ensure everything was running smoothly. He walked among the booths, chatting with vendors and attendees. At one booth, he struck up a conversation with Elena Vasquez, a local artist displaying her intricate ceramic sculptures. "I'm impressed by your work," Ethan said, admiring a piece that depicted a traditional celebration. "How long have you been doing this?" Elena smiled warmly. "Almost 20 years. It's a passion of mine, And I'm grateful for opportunities like this to share it with others. Ethan nodded. That's exactly why we wanted to host this event. We want the mall to be a platform for talents like yours. As the day progressed, Ethan noticed the positive energy radiating through the crowd. People from different walks of life were mingling, learning about each other's cultures, and sharing experiences. It was a powerful reminder of what the mall could achieve when its focus was on unity and inclusivity. One notable moment came during a traditional dance performance. A diverse group of dancers, dressed in vibrant costumes, captivated the audience with their synchronized movements and infectious energy. Ethan stood near the back of the crowd, watching as even the most skeptical onlookers smiled and clapped along. Among the audience was Megan Hart, the woman whose initial complaint had sparked the chain of events leading to this moment. Megan had been hesitant to attend the festival, unsure of how she would feel returning to the mall after the incident. But as she watched the performance and felt the warmth of the crowd, she began to see the mall in a new light. During a break between performances, Megan approached Ethan, who was speaking with a group of vendors. "Mr. Brooks?" she said tentatively. Ethan turned to face her, his expression neutral but polite. "Yes?" Megan hesitated, then extended her hand. "I just wanted to say, I'm sorry for what happened that day. I acted out of anger and didn't consider the bigger picture." Ethan shook her hand, his demeanor softening. "I appreciate that, Megan. It takes courage to reflect on your actions and own up to them. What matters now is that we all move forward and work together to create something better." And Megan nodded, feeling a weight lift from her shoulders. "I'd like to get involved if that's okay. Maybe volunteer at future events or help with outreach." Ethan smiled. "That's a great idea. We could always use more hands to make this a success." As the weeks went by, Sunrise Mall continued to evolve. Rachel's leadership, combined with the staff's renewed commitment to inclusivity, brought about tangible changes. Customer feedback improved, and the mall's reputation began to recover. Word spread about the mall's transformation, attracting new patrons. One of the most significant changes came from the mall's partnership with local schools and organizations. Through these partnerships, the mall offered free workshops on topics like financial literacy, small business management, and creative arts. These workshops not only benefited attendees, but also showcased the mall as a hub for community. Ethan made a point to attend as many of these workshops as his schedule allowed. During one session on entrepreneurship, he shared his own journey, from starting small to building a successful business empire. His story resonated with the attendees, particularly a group of high school students who were eager to learn about the world of business. "Remember," Ethan told them, "success isn't just about making money. It's about creating opportunities for others and leaving a positive impact on your community. That's what real success looks like." The mall's transformation culminated in the unveiling of a customer and staff code of conduct, a comprehensive guide outlining expectations for behavior and interactions. The code, prominently displayed throughout the mall, emphasized respect, kindness, and accountability. The launch event for the code included speeches from Ethan, Rachel, and David Sterling, as well as testimonials from employees and shoppers who had witnessed the changes firsthand. One such testimony came from Carlos Ramirez, the father who had previously shared his son's experience. "I was skeptical when I first heard about the changes," Carlos admitted during his speech. "But over the past few weeks, I've seen a genuine effort to make this mall a better place. My son feels safe here now, and that means the world to me. Thank you for listening and taking action." The audience erupted in applause, and Ethan felt a deep sense of fulfillment. This was the kind of impact he had envisioned when he first acquired the mall. As the year drew to a close, Ethan reflected on the journey that had brought Sunrise Mall to this point. It hadn't been easy. There were moments of doubt, resistance, and hard lessons, but the progress was undeniable. The mall had become more than just a shopping center. It was now a vibrant, inclusive community hub where people felt valued and respected. One evening, as Ethan walked through the mall, he stopped by the central atrium where a holiday display had been set up. Children laughed as they posed for photos with Santa, while parents watched with warm smiles. The sight filled Ethan with a quiet sense of pride. Rachel joined him, carrying a clipboard filled with notes. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" she said, her voice tinged with awe. Ethan nodded. "We have, and we're just getting started." Rachel smiled. "What's next on the agenda?" Ethan looked around, his gaze landing on the bustling food court, the vibrant holiday decorations, and the happy faces of the shoppers. "Next? We keep building on what we've started. We listen, we adapt, and we never lose sight of what matters most. People." Rachel nodded, knowing that with Ethan's leadership, Sunrise Mall's future was brighter than ever. Ethan's quiet but impactful exit from Sunrise Mall sent shockwaves through its management and staff. In the days following the incident, whispers of his identity as the mall's owner spread like wildfire. By the time the corporate office officially informed the local team, the news had already reached every corner of the property. For many, it was a wake-up call, but for others, it was an opportunity for redemption. The fallout was swift. The corporate team, led by David Sterling, called for a comprehensive review of Sunrise Mall's operations. Ethan, ever the strategist, proposed an unconventional approach to address the deeper issues. He announced an empathy immersion program designed to expose staff to the diverse lives and experiences of their customers. The first phase of the program involved pairing employees with local community members for a day of shared activities. Nathan and Emily, the security officers at the center of the initial incident, were assigned to James, a retired veteran and avid mall visitor who volunteered to share his perspective. James began their day with a tour of the mall through his eyes. "This place has always been a refuge for me," he said, his voice steady but tinged with nostalgia. "After my wife passed, I started coming here daily. It's not about shopping, it's about people. The food court, the bookstore, even the bench by the fountain. They're part of my routine, part of my life." As they walked, Nathan listened intently, his earlier apprehension giving way to curiosity. "I never thought about the mall as more than a business," he admitted. "Hearing you say that makes me realize how important it is to so many people." James nodded. "It's not just about rules, son, it's about respect. Everyone has a story." Meanwhile, Emily was paired with Leela, a single mother who worked 2 jobs to support her family. Leela shared her struggles of juggling work, childcare, and errands, often squeezing in trips to the mall between shifts. "This place is my lifeline sometimes," Leela explained. "If staff here weren't patient or understanding, I'd probably stop coming altogether. It's hard enough without feeling judged." The day left a profound impact on both Nathan and Emily. That evening, they wrote personal reflections, which were later shared in a team meeting led by Ethan. The exercise highlighted the human side of their work, reminding everyone that their roles went far beyond enforcing rules or maintaining order. The second phase of the program introduced a diversity dialogue series, featuring guest speakers from various backgrounds who shared stories of resilience, hope, and adversity. One such speaker was Dr. Anika Joshi, a professor specializing in intercultural communication. Malls are modern agoras," Dr. Joshi explained to the gathered staff. "They're places where people from all walks of life intersect. Your job isn't just to enforce policies, it's to nurture a space where everyone feels safe and valued." After the talk, Ethan hosted a Q&A session, encouraging staff to voice their thoughts and concerns. One employee, Darren, raised his hand. "How do we balance maintaining order with respecting everyone's individual rights?" he asked. Ethan smiled, appreciating the sincerity of the question. "By leading with empathy," he replied. "Rules are necessary, but they're not a substitute for understanding. If you approach every situation with the goal of finding a solution that respects everyone involved, you'll strike that balance." As these initiatives unfolded, Ethan continued to make unannounced visits to the mall, observing the changes firsthand. During one such visit, he noticed a new hire, Talia, assisting a customer in a wheelchair who was struggling to reach an item on a high shelf. Talia's proactive kindness and patience left a strong impression. "Great job today," Ethan told her later. "It's small actions like that which make a big difference." Talia beamed, clearly proud. "Thank you, sir. I just think about how I'd want to be treated." Ethan nodded, his faith in the mall's future renewed. One of the most significant breakthroughs came during a staff brainstorming session. Rachel had proposed a new initiative, Mall Ambassador Days, where employees would rotate shifts in different roles to better understand the challenges their colleagues faced. For example, Nathan spent a day shadowing a retail cashier, gaining insight into the fast-paced and often thankless nature of the job. Emily took a turn assisting in the kids' play area, learning firsthand how patience and adaptability were key to keeping families happy. These experiences deepened their appreciation for the mall's ecosystem and strengthened their camaraderie as a team. The program culminated in the unveiling of the Sunrise Promise, a public declaration of the mall's commitment to inclusivity, respect, and community building. The promise was etched onto a large plaque installed near the main entrance, accompanied by a mural painted by local artists. The mural depicted a vibrant collage of faces representing various ages, ethnicities, and backgrounds, with the words, "Welcome to everyone, always," woven into the design. Its unveiling drew a large crowd, including community leaders, staff, and patrons. Ethan, standing at the center of the gathering, delivered a heartfelt speech. "The Sunrise Promise isn't just words on a wall," he said. "It's a commitment, a daily reminder that this mall is more than bricks and mortar. It's a space where stories intersect, where kindness is the norm, and where everyone is welcome." The crowd erupted into applause, and Ethan felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The journey wasn't over, but the seeds of change had taken root. As the months passed, Sunrise Mall thrived. The initiatives introduced by Ethan and Rachel created a ripple effect, inspiring other malls in Ethan's portfolio to adopt similar programs. Employees reported higher job satisfaction, customer complaints decreased, and foot traffic surged as the mall became a beacon of inclusivity. One afternoon, Ethan received an unexpected letter from Megan. In it, she expressed her gratitude for the changes she had witnessed and her hope to continue being part of the mall's story. "I realize now that standing up for what's right doesn't mean tearing others down," Megan wrote. "It means building bridges, and I'm proud to see this mall leading the way." Ethan folded the letter and placed it in his desk drawer, a small but poignant reminder of why he had embarked on this journey. It wasn't about winning or losing, it was about transformation, both for the mall and for everyone it touched. In the end, Sunrise Mall became a model of what a community space could and should be, a place where people felt seen, heard, and valued. For Ethan, it was a testament to the power of leadership driven by empathy and a reminder that even the smallest actions could spark lasting change. The transformation of Sunrise Mall had been a journey of growth and resilience, but Ethan wasn't ready to stop at incremental improvements. He had always believed in the power of bold ideas to inspire change, and he wanted to push the boundaries further. Ethan envisioned Sunrise Mall not just as a shopping destination, but as a community centerpiece, a hub for culture, innovation, and connection. And to bring his vision to life, Ethan partnered with Innovate Now, a nonprofit dedicated to fostering creativity and entrepreneurship. Together, they launched a program called Startup Saturdays, offering free mall space to local entrepreneurs and small business owners to test their ideas. Every Saturday, new pop-up shops, food vendors, and service providers would set up in the central atrium, transforming the mall into a bustling marketplace of fresh ideas. One of the first participants was Jamal Williams, a young baker who dreamed of opening his own bakery but lacked the capital to start. His booth, Sweet Beginnings, quickly became a hit, drawing crowds eager to sample his decadent pastries. Ethan made a point to visit Jamal's booth one Saturday morning. "How's it going so far?" Ethan asked, eyeing the long line of customers. Jamal's face lit up. "Honestly, better than I ever imagined. I've already had people ask if I have a permanent store here." Ethan grinned. "That's what this is about. giving people like you a chance to shine. If you ever want to talk about making Sweet Beginnings a permanent fixture here, let me know. The program became a resounding success, bringing new energy to the mall and attracting a younger, more diverse crowd. It also gave struggling entrepreneurs the exposure and confidence they needed to take the next step. Ethan also turned his attention to education and technology, recognizing that many schools in the area lacked the resources to introduce students to emerging industries. He collaborated with local educators and tech companies to create a STEM exploration center within the mall. Housed in a former department store, the center featured hands-on exhibits, coding workshops, and even a robotics lab. The goal was to inspire kids and teens to explore careers in science, technology, engineering, and math. At the grand opening of the center, a group of middle school students marveled at a robotic arm programmed to assemble miniature structures. Ethan, watching from the sidelines, struck up a conversation with one of the kids, Maya, who was eagerly scribbling notes in a notebook. "What do you think of all this?" Ethan asked. Maya beamed. "It's amazing! I've always wanted to build robots, but I didn't know where to start." "Well," Ethan said, crouching to her level, "this is your starting point, and if you ever need help, the staff here will make sure you get it." The STEM Exploration Center quickly became one of the mall's most popular attractions, drawing families, educators, and tech enthusiasts from across the region. As the mall flourished, Ethan took time to hear the stories of its visitors. One day, he met Linda Perkins, an elderly woman sitting on a bench near the fountain. She was crocheting a colorful scarf, the strands of yarn draped neatly across her lap. "Beautiful work," Ethan remarked, gesturing to the scarf. "Is it for someone special?" Linda smiled warmly. "For my granddaughter. She's turning 16 next month." They struck up a conversation, and Linda shared how the mall had been a constant in her life for decades. "I used to bring my kids here when they were little. Now I come to meet friends or just people watch. It's comforting, you know?" Ethan nodded. "That's exactly what we're trying to preserve, a place where people feel at home." Their conversation inspired Ethan to create a program called Heart of the Community, which celebrated stories like Linda's. The mall dedicated a wall near the entrance to feature photos and stories of its patrons, showcasing the personal connections people had with the space. As Sunrise Mall continued to thrive, Ethan faced an unexpected challenge: a surge in online criticism claiming the mall's transformation was superficial. Some accused him of using community programs as a marketing ploy, rather than genuinely caring about the people involved. Determined to address the concerns head-on, Ethan hosted a town hall meeting open to the public. The event drew a diverse crowd, from supportive community members to vocal skeptics. One critic, Angela Simmons, was particularly outspoken. "You've made some good changes," she admitted, "but it still feels like a way to make more money. How do we know this isn't just a facade?" Ethan stood at the podium, his gaze steady. "That's a fair question, Angela. And the truth is, yes, this mall is a business. But businesses don't have to prioritize profits over people. We can do both. Support our community and succeed as a business. The two aren't mutually exclusive." He continued, "What we're building here isn't just about boosting sales. It's about creating opportunities, fostering connections, and ensuring this mall serves a purpose beyond retail. If you ever feel we're falling short, I invite you to tell me. Your voices matter." Angela nodded slowly, impressed by his candor. "Fair enough. I'll hold you to that." Ethan knew that true trust couldn't be earned through words alone, so he doubled down on his efforts to build genuine connections. He initiated a mentorship program for mall employees, pairing senior staff with younger or less experienced colleagues to help them grow professionally and personally. One such mentorship pairing involved Rachel Torres, the interim manager, and Chris Lee, a young janitor with aspirations of becoming a business manager. Rachel took Chris under her wing, teaching him about leadership, budgeting, and team dynamics. Over time, Chris's confidence grew. During a staff meeting, he presented an idea for improving the mall's waste management system, which not only reduced costs but also made the mall more eco-friendly. Ethan was so impressed that he offered Chris a promotion to operations assistant. To commemorate the mall's transformation, Ethan organized a sunrise celebration, a weekend-long event featuring live music, local food vendors, and activities for all ages. The highlight of the event was a tribute video showcasing the journey of the mall from its early struggles to its current success. The video included heartfelt testimonials from staff and patrons. One particularly touching segment featured Carlos Ramirez, the father who had previously shared his son's experience with autism. "Before, I felt like we didn't belong here," Carlos said on screen. "Now it feels like home. This mall isn't just a place to shop, it's a place to connect." As the video ended, the crowd erupted into applause. Ethan, standing on stage with Rachel, Nathan, and Emily, felt a wave of emotion. The celebration was a testament to what they had accomplished together. As the celebration wound down, Ethan found himself standing by the fountain, reflecting on the journey. Rachel approached, holding 2 glasses of sparkling cider. "You should be proud," she said, handing him a glass. "This place has become something special." Ethan nodded, a faint smile on his lips. "I am, but there's always more to do." Rachel raised her glass to Sunrise Malls. "May it keep shining brighter." They clinked glasses, the sound a quiet echo of triumph in the bustling atrium. Ethan knew the road ahead would have its challenges, but for now, he allowed himself a moment to savor what they had built, a place where everyone could belong, thrive, and find their own stories. The future of Sunrise Mall was as bright as its name suggested, and Ethan was ready to guide it into the next chapter. Like what you saw, there's another video on screen you'll love. Don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories.